Welcome to your weekly Open the Door to Tai Chi lesson. Today we're going to continue our series on considering 3 of the important principles of Tai Chi at a time. And we have 10 essentials. We really have 8, 9, 10 of these principles, if you will, that are critical to understanding if you want to really get the benefits of Tai Chi. So today we're going to do 3. We're going to do columns, which we did last week, but now we're going to think about, with columns, we're going to think about substantial and insubstantial, and we're going to think about being rooted and grounded. So again, with columns, remember, you're suspended from the crown of your head, allowing your body to fall naturally into alignment. Thinking about keeping your shoulders in harmony with your hips. If you think about being rooted and grounded, you can think about being rooted through those columns. So it's almost like being lifted from the crown of your head and yet being stable into the ground. It's like your body is being lifted up and stretched, but still very stable. Remember, our stances are very important in being rooted and grounded, lowering our center of gravity. And understanding where our weight is. Which side is substantial, which side is insubstantial. That's crucial to improving your balance. The idea of understanding and truly discriminating between substantial and insubstantial. So let's see how these 3 principles go together. Columns, substantial and insubstantial, and rooted and grounded. Let's try brush knee first. Simple movement, but thinking about those 3 principles. Holding the ball to the right, stepping out, coming into your brush knee. Now you're thinking about keeping your columns intact. You're not reaching from that forward hand. That right hand is not going too far forward. You're not leading from your shoulders. You step out, brush, knee. Now, what else do you need to think about with being rooted and grounded? You need to make sure that you're not stepping too narrow, making sure that your stance is wide enough to be substantial in if you were coming against an opponent, you are rooted and grounded. You're not lifting that back heel. You are stable in your stance. Now, as we step out with our brush knee, then as we move forward, we have to think about, where is my weight? What am I going to put my weight into my left leg now, so my right leg is completely empty, so that I can choose to step forward into my next movement. Rocking back. Now all that water has to flow into that right leg, so that left leg can choose to step forward. Remember, if we're going to be successful against an opponent, we have to have that choice. We can't have that choice fall upon us. We can't have our steps need to be where we want to be stepping and not where we're forced to be stepping. Columns, substantial and insubstantial, being rooted and grounded. Think about them as helping each other in your movement. Let's look at the kicks in our form, right? We're keeping our shoulders in harmony with our hips. We're rooted and grounded through this right column. If we allow this left leg to be completely empty, theoretically, that kick becomes easy, right? If we transfer our weight over to our left and we're rooted and grounded, theoretically, that right kick should be easy. Now add the smash and box steers. thinking about being rooted and grounded, thinking about your stance as you land in that box the ears. Here's your column. It's rooted. Left leg is empty. Kick, smash. Box the ears. Think about lowering your center of gravity and having a good, solid stance. What about snake creeps, pheasant stands, right? The same thing with the kicks. With pheasant stands, we're obviously on one leg. We have to be rooted and grounded. We have to understand which side is substantial, which side is insubstantial. You know, as we do our snake creeps, we have this column, this left column here, rooted and grounded. We step out. As we lower our center of gravity, remember we keep our columns intact. We're not doing snake creeps like this. We're not stepping out and making our snake low by breaking our columns, right? We lower our center of gravity and then we move, thinking about our substantial and insubstantial. Now we have to bring this all the way onto our right leg to lift into that pheasant stance. If you think about columns, insubstantial and substantial with your snake creeps, pheasant stands, it's going to make it easier. I know that's a difficult move, but if you work on it with those three principles in mind, it will actually become easier. So if you think about it on the other side, thinking about you're rooted through that right, step out and back with the left. Snake creeps, lower that center of gravity. Now, let that left leg become completely substantial. Right leg becomes insubstantial. It becomes easy to lift into your pheasant stance. Repulse the monkey. Columns need to be important. Thinking about where our weight is now very important. If I try to step backwards and my weight is forward on the left, it's very hard without leaning back, right? That breaks my columns. Whereas if I shift my weight evenly, thinking about my columns, thinking about being rooted and grounded, now this left leg is empty and it's easy to step back into my repulse the monkey. Now I'm rooted through this left side, evenly weighted, no, right foot is empty. Now I can step back and do my repulse the monkey. Step back, and one more, step back. Thinking about our movements from the 40 form, fist under the elbow is actually very confusing to a lot of people as you're first learning it. But if you think about your columns, you think about your substantial and insubstantial, you think about being rooted and grounded, it's going to actually help that movement flow. So remember, we start by holding the ball to the left and we turn into slant flying. Our weight's on the right here. Then as we turn over our left shoulder, the weight comes onto the left. But we're not leaning forward like this. We're not coming forward in a breaking our columns. We simply turn, bringing that weight to the left. Then you can bring your weight to the right. It's just like that repulse the monkey, where you're thinking about your column being rooted and grounded, and now your weight is on that right side, letting that left leg be empty. As you turn, then that left leg becomes more substantial, circling the arm around and letting the weight settle into this right for your fist under the elbow, which brings you right into your repulse the monkey. So let's try that again. Holding the ball to the left, slant flying. Think about where your weight is. Weight's on the left, weight's on the right. Step left, weight's on the left, and then settle your weight into the right for your fist under the elbow, which prepares you for your repulse the monkey. Now the same thing happens with your snake spits out tongue moving into your pat foot. If you really focus on columns, on your substantial and insubstantial, and on being rooted and grounded, now that snake spits out tongue becomes easier. And the pat foot moving into your hit the tiger left. So we're here holding the ball to the left. We turn, snake spits out tongue. This left hand comes through on the diagonal, left foot steps forward. Now the weight has to come all the way to the left because now your right has to be insubstantial to pat foot. If you're not thinking about your columns at that point, if you're just thinking about, okay, this one has to be empty, if you're at all leaning in any direction, you're not going to be able to pat foot in a balanced position. You have to be thinking about my columns being rooted and grounded, then I can lift and pat foot very easily. Then what happens after that is we have to move into our hit the tiger left. Understanding that substantial and insubstantial will help you with that smooth movement. Holding the ball to the left, snake spits out tongue, bring all the weight to the left, pat foot. Now all the weight has to come to the right so that we can step into our hit the tiger left. Keeping those columns intact, making sure we're rooted and grounded, that we have a good stance. If after we pat foot and we hit the tiger left with this narrow stance like this, you can easily be knocked over, right? That doesn't translate into being stable at all. Remember, rooted and grounded is also concerned with not only feeling the ground, but being stable, having your stance be good, that your opponent can't easily knock you over. So let's try that one more time. Holding the ball to the left, stepping out, snake spits out tongue, pat foot, letting the weight come to the right, and then coming into a good stance for your hit the tiger left. Using those three principles, columns, knowing where your weight is, your substantial and insubstantial, being rooted and grounded, being stable, feeling that energy from the ground. These three principles work together to help your movement be more effective against an opponent, but also to be more balanced.